Letting everyone know what has happened. Our justice is community. Our justice is relying on each other. That is our justice. We have to dismantle this whole entire system. We have to not only dismantle it, we have to hold all these cops accountable for what they have been doing for years. Not only NYPD, but all police forces nationwide. And it's sad when they think they're not doing anything wrong. When the shoe is on the other foot, then they will understand. Our mothers, our sons, our fathers, our grandparents are shedding tears. Why? They want to know, why is our children being murdered? And no one is being held accountable.
Yo, we're here today to ensure that Officer Liang and the NYPD is held accountable. A month from now, Officer Liang murdered Akai Gurley in the pink houses, in the stairway. Officer Liang, instead of calling for help, text messaged his union to find out what he should do when a man was dying on the floor. We're here to tell you today, all lives will matter.
When Black Lives Matter.
All lives will matter.
When Black Lives Matter.
We're here today to tell you, all lives will matter.
When Black Lives Matter.
After the murder, Branton and Blasio came out and said that this was an accident. This was no accident. The NYPD patrols and controls our neighborhoods as if we were some chattel or some cattle. Blasio and Branton are in the pockets of financial and real estate interests in this city. It's no accident at all when the same forces that they protect are in our community, murdering and brutalizing our mothers, our daughters, our sons. It's no accident that we get patrolled differently by the basis of the color of our skin, by the class that we represent, based on our sexuality, based on if we're transgender or not. We get patrolled and controlled differently. And we're here to tell you today, that shit stops today. It stops today. It stops today.
It stops today.
We will shut down this city as soon as we keep organizing and being strategic to shut down this genocidal machine that attacks our neighborhoods, so that way they can gentrify and displace our members in the community. We will not allow for these injustices to occur. So we're here today to tell you, we will shut you down. We will put pressure on the state to make sure we get an indictment.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
We are here today.
We are here today.
Because Black Lives Matter.
Because Black Lives Matter.
Akai Gurley's case.
Surrounding Akai Gurley's case.
Fact 1.
Fact 1.
Akai Gurley was 28 years old.
Akai Gurley was 28 years old.
On November 20th, 2014,
And November 20th, 2014,
Akai was waiting for the elevator in the pink houses
Akai was waiting for the elevator in the pink houses
in Brooklyn with his friends.
in Brooklyn with his friends.
When it did not arrive, they decided to take the stairs.
When they did not arrive, they decided to take the stairs.
Anyone who lives in housing
Anyone who lives in housing
knows that this is very typical.
knows that this is very typical.
Fact 2.
Fact 2.
2 NYPD officers,
2 NYPD officers,
Officer Peter Liang
Officer Peter Liang
and Officer Sean Landau,
and Officer Sean Landau,
were conducting a vertical patrol in the stairwell.
were conducting a vertical patrol in the stairwell.
Officer Liang was holding his gun
Officer Liang was holding his gun
with his finger on the trigger.
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 He fired a shot into the stairwell.
He fired a shot into the stairwell.
The bullet hit Akai in the chest.
The bullet hit Akai in the chest.
Akai then fell
Akai then fell
from the 7th floor to the 5th floor
from the 7th floor to the 5th floor
and collapsed.
and collapsed.
Akai had not committed a crime.
Akai had not committed a crime.
Akai was unarmed.
Akai was unarmed.
Fact 3.
Fact 3.
As Akai lay dying,
As Akai lay dying,
Officer Peter Liang called his union rep.
Officer Peter Liang called his union rep
For 6.5 minutes,
for 6.5 minutes
as Akai's friend desperately tried to help him,
as Akai's friend desperately tried to help him.
Officer Liang and Landau were unaccounted for.
Officer Liang and Landau were unaccounted for.
According to the DA, Ken Thompson,
According to the DA, Ken Thompson,
they were arguing over whether or not
they were arguing over whether or not
to call the shooting into their superiors.
to call the shooting into their superiors.
They were arguing over whether or not
They were arguing over whether or not
to call the shooting into their
to
superiors.
call the shooting into their superiors.
They did not call for an ambulance,
They did not call for an ambulance,
nor did they try to resuscitate Akai.
nor did they try to resuscitate Akai.
Fact 4.
Fact 4.
On February 10, 2015,
On February 10, 2015,
Officer Peter Liang was indicted by a grand jury
Officer Peter Liang was indicted by a grand jury
for the shooting death of Akai Gurley.
for the shooting death of Akai Gurley.
He was charged with second-degree manslaughter,
He was charged with second-degree manslaughter,
criminally negligent homicide,
criminally negligent homicide,
second-degree assault,
second-degree assault,
reckless endangerment,
reckless endangerment,
and 2 counts of official misconduct.
and 2 counts of official misconduct.
Fact 5.
Fact 5.
Officer Sean Landau received immunity.
Officer Sean Landau received immunity.
Officer Sean Landau received immunity
Officer Sean Landau received immunity
in exchange for his testimony against Officer Liang.
in exchange for his testimony against Officer Liang.
Officer Landau can never be charged,
Officer Landau can never be charged,
and he has not been fired.
and he has not been fired.
He is still employed by the NYPD.
He is still employed by the NYPD.
So if you believe
So if you believe
that Black Lives Matter,
that Black Lives Matter,
if you believe
if you believe
that Akai Gurley's life matters,
that Akai Gurley's life matters,
if you believe
if you believe
that police brutality has to stop,
that police brutality has to stop,
I ask that you raise your fist
we ask that you raise your fist
and chant,
and chant,
all lives will matter
all lives will matter
when Black Lives matter.
when Black Lives matter.
My name is Nicholas Haywood Sr. I'm the father of Nicholas Jr. He was murdered 21 years ago in the exact same fashion as Akai Gurley was murdered. Dimly lit stairwell, rookie cop, justified it as being an accidental shooting. These are murders that are being covered up by the police, the district attorneys, and this whole racist system.
Talk about it.
Right.
Case after case, for the last 21 years, I have seen nothing but cover-ups and injustices done in every single case. In the Akai Grawley case, we want justice, we demand justice, and we ain't gonna stop until we get justice.
Right.
Murdered an unarmed man. Coward, Peter Liang. Coward.
I'm Scott Renecki, attorney for Kimberly Ballinger. Next to me is Kimberly Ballinger. This is her daughter Kamaya, and this is the aunt of Akai Gurley, Hortensia Peterson. Today, the judge set the trial date for Officer Peter Liang for January 7, 2016. The family looks forward to this matter being tried in this court, and hopefully this officer will choose to have this matter tried in front of a jury, members of Brooklyn, who can decide criminality issues in this case. The family will be here each and every day that this matter does proceed to trial to see to it that justice was done. There's no question in our mind that the actions of Officer Peter Liang do rise to the level of manslaughter in the second degree and were criminally negligent. There was absolute recklessness on behalf of this officer to have his gun in his hand and his finger on the trigger so as to allow it to discharge, recklessly causing the death of Akai Gurley. The family is also announcing that on November 20th of this year, the one-year anniversary of this reckless and senseless death, there will be a rally at the Pink Houses. It's going to be on the 20th. It will be a rally at the Pink Houses, as well as a number of different police precincts in the area where these officers were from, where there will be a candlelight vigil and speakers on behalf of the family to discuss police brutality and to see to it that this violence against black lives stops. Kimberly?
I thank everyone for being here today. We look forward for the trial, for the trial date, which is January 7th. Hopefully, we want a conviction. We hope this trial we hope he gets trial by a juror, one of our peers, so that he can be convicted properly. And we want a conviction to go forward. We're looking for a conviction.
What has the loss of Akai done for you this past? What effect has it had on your life and your child's life this past year?
These last 10 months have been very hard. Akai's death has been hard for not only me, but for both of my children. It's hard.
What the members of the public, the citizens of New York, have to understand is that they've only heard a lot about the police officer. They haven't heard a lot about Akai, and that'll come out during the trial. But Akai was a loving father who would take his children to school every day, who was there to help these children grow up. Now they no longer have a father thanks to the recklessness of this police officer.
Mr. Renecki, what's the procedure for determining whether or not there's going to be a jury trial or the three-judge panel in this case?
It would absolutely be up to the defendant and his attorney, his team of lawyers. They can come in on the day of jury selection and say, we want to go to no jury, want to go judge only. It's their decision. It's the right that a defendant has pursuant to criminal procedure in the state of New York. Any other questions?
Yeah, right down here. What's the status of the wrongful death lawsuit?
The wrongful death lawsuit is currently pending in the Supreme Court of Kings County. To date, the city of New York has interposed their answer, but they haven't decided whether or not they're going to answer on behalf of the police officers. There was actually an application today in court seeking a default against those police officers. That matter was adjourned for October 30th for the city to decide whether or not they were going to come in and indemnify and defend these police officers.
What happens if they don't?
Then they'll have to hire attorneys on their own behalf. Usually in that case, the criminal attorneys will represent them in the civil case as well. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming. Look forward to seeing everyone at the rally on November 20th and the candlelight vigil, and thereafter every day in court beginning on January 7th.